Hello, everyone, and welcome to Legal Notion. We have our wonderful jury today. Everyone give it up for the jury. Yes, they're doing their jury duty. They're going to render their verdict later on today, but we have wonderful hot dockets coming up, a wonderful interview. So welcome to Legal Notion. Welcome to Legal Notions. Here on Legal Notions, we don't have hot topics, but we do have a hot docket. I have my colleagues with me today.
Jana Matthews.
Erica Davis.
And we're going to jump right into it. We have so many things to talk about. What's on your hot docket today?
Well, today I want to talk about the creation of 3D printing and how now people are using 3D printing to print guns. And these are guns that are created in the same manner as a Lego. So the plastic that you think of a Lego, you can create a gun that you actually use conventional bullets for.
Wow.
That obviously can be used and undetectable in a metal detector through TSA.
Yeah, so just to clarify what you're saying, it looks like a real gun. It comes off a 3D printer.
It comes off a 3D printer. It may not appear as a 9mm type of gun, but it is a gun. So it's something that will give you the effect of a gun.
It can shoot a bullet.
It can shoot a bullet.
And it can get past the security at TSA.
Because it's plastic.
Okay.
Yes.
So the companies that are putting these blueprints out for the 3D printing of the guns.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Well, actually how it came about is in 2013 they started putting blueprints, and it would be Defense Distributed out of Texas, and they are a
we're calling you out.
gun rights organization.
You're on notice.
That they were putting the blueprints online. And so the government felt that should not happen and restricted it. Well, over the last 5 years, between back and forth battles in court, just recently they came to a settlement with the federal government under the Trump administration that allowed them to post it. The attorney generals from several states decided, no, we don't want that information out.
Right.
And a federal judge in Washington, the state of Washington, blocked it. Currently, it's a temporary restraining order. There's a hearing coming up later in the month of August. And basically they said, no, this is dangerous because it can be
because you can make a gun at home
Yes.
that you can't detect at TSA. And mind you, now I am a strong proponent of Second Amendment. I own a gun. I've never shot it before. I'm going to try. But I want the right to protect myself, my family. I'm all for that. I only want that to protect myself, my family. I have no intention on going on a plane and shooting anybody, because there's that.
Right.
But the fact that you can create this gun in a 3D printer, get it past TSA check,
Yes.
that is a problem. I'm glad that there is a restraining order on it right now. I hope the states and federal government do the right thing. This goes beyond, right to bear arms. I think you should bear arms, registered arms, and go through the normal checks and balances that you should go through.
Yeah.
Well, the other challenge was just the First Amendment, because it's the blueprints for the gun.
Right.
So there's some dynamics going along there, but should we put in the hands of people on how to create a gun at home? I mean, it's illegal. It's been illegal since 1998.
It's been illegal for a long time. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of nothing new, nothing new.
Nothing new under the sun.
We have
right?
yet another person who has chosen to invoke his First Amendment rights.
he did.
He followed a man home,
Yeah.
called him the N-word,
Yeah.
and
So
now,
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I think we have these cases just about every other week. People have become especially vocal in this climate
Yes.
on how they feel about you,
Yes.
and everything under the sun. So he follows a African American man home. So this is a guy who's in his work truck. So let's start there. You're in your work truck, in your employment. You're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner.
I pressed pause on the tape just so I could make sure I could jot down the number. I did that.
Yeah.
I will admit that.
Yeah,
go
because I
ahead.
want to be specific about who we're
Very
talking about
specific.
and what company you own. Okay? So anyway, fast forward. So he follows him not a few feet.
Right.
Not to the next stop sign.
No.
Yeah.
Not to the next block. He follows him home for 2 miles.
Sounds
Wow.
stopperish to me, but go ahead.
Yeah, but he keeps going, and he is absolutely berating this man about being in fill in the blank over and
The
over
N-word.
and over and over again.
I watched the video. It was disgusting.
Absolutely mortifying, disgusting. But this happens a lot.
It does.
Right? And then what follows that?
A half-hearted apology.
Here comes the apology. Now, here we go.
I'm sorry you caught me on camera is what he really meant.
I'm so sorry.
That my
I
business is
didn't
suffering.
mean that. I didn't mean it. I was enraged. But it comes from somewhere,
Absolutely.
right? This is how you are feeling, and it is precipitated maybe by an event, but at the end of the day, you feel like this. Otherwise, that word would not have been in your vocabulary.
Well, you marinated on the word for 2 miles, sir.
Yes.
You know, you didn't just, it wasn't like it just, blurted out, oops.
Yep.
I was listening to too much DMX, got caught up. No, that wasn't the
Right.
moment that you had.
Right.
Okay?
No,
it wasn't.
it was not.
You didn't have that moment. Okay?
Right.
It was all the way.
2 miles,
Mhm.
you marinated, you thought long and hard, you spilled it out, you practiced it in your car. I know you did. And you made sure for your moment
Right.
that you gonna spill that N-word out with all
And
of
you got
your,
it together.
you know, colonizing vigor.
Mhm.
And you did. And we saw it on tape. Now for him to come back with a half-hearted apology.
Yeah, so how does that work exactly? Right? And so here's the thing that he says. And now my whole life is ruined. My business has suffered. I will never be able to operate my business in the city again. Well, you know what, sir? I have no sympathy for you. And as a
None.
matter of fact, that maybe I'm taking it too far, but I feel like that's what you deserve. If you're able to put that out in the universe, such hatred, then you deserve anything that comes back on you as a result of your own actions. I don't feel sorry for him. So-
I don't either. I think you need to take accountability for your own actions. I think if the roles were reversed and the shoe were on the other foot,
Let's
we
say
would be
that.
calling for someone to be responsible for their own actions.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of responsibility, we have, and this is a larger issue. Cardi B, who I applaud,
Yes.
has decided that she will step down from Bruno Mars' tour because her child is only 6 weeks old, or will only be 6 weeks old when the tour begins. And in the beginning, she issued this statement saying that she thought that it was going to be okay, thought that she could take her child on tour with her, but because her child would only be 6 weeks old, not 6 months, 6 weeks old.
Right.
That she discovered that it was not a healthy environment for the child to be in, and she isn't ready to separate from her child. And I think this speaks to a larger, first of all, kudos and well done you, Cardi.
Absolutely.
Yes.
As a mother, because I'm a mother, and it's interesting how we treat mothers in this country, because so many people make the assumptions that at 6 weeks, you're ready to move on, you're ready to go back to work,
Yes.
you can take your child on tour, you
Yes.
can be away from your child,
That your body's healed.
that your
Yeah.
body is healed. It's
Yeah.
interesting because I just think it speaks to the pressure that mothers are under.
You do.
Whether you are a superstar and an entertainer, or whether you're going back to work,
That's so
you
true.
are under pressure at 6 weeks, whether you can feel your legs or not,
Yeah.
Right.
to get back at it.
Yeah.
And I think it's
I was gonna say, let's touch on that a little bit, because 6 weeks, I guess, for a person, a male who's not given childbirth, who's not gone through that experience,
Yes.
or people who don't have any frame of reference. If you look at a calendar, 6 weeks is a lot of days, right? I mean, it's a month and some change.
It ain't a lot of days when you push a life out of your body.
And
I'm
that's
just
my
saying.
point. And
Yeah.
that is my point. But
Yeah.
when it is a living human being, and they are so small, and
Yes.
your body goes through things that you cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
And you're under this expectation that you will bounce back from that and that everything will go back to normal. I feel like is an unreal expectation of women.
I think so, and I think globally, you know, the United States is one of the worst countries in terms of the maternity leave that we give to women. You know, we have FMLA that protects your job, but it's just job protection. That doesn't
Yeah.
give you paid leave.
Right.
Not at all.
So most employers will have paid leave, but FMLA only gives you 12 weeks of job protection. That doesn't mean you're going to get paid during that time. It just means that they can't fire you during that time. Most companies give at least 6 weeks paid leave, although sometimes the way it equates because of short-term disability, you really only get about 2.8, the way they calculated it, you really only get about 2.8 weeks of full pay. So your full salary, 2.8 weeks. We are the lowest, I think we're second to the last of developed countries in terms of maternity leave with paid leave for women. And I think it speaks volumes in how we feel about women. I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, my first child, And I came back and I tell everybody this, I had a very hard pregnancy, wonderful delivery, because God knows what you can handle. Wonderful delivery, very hard pregnancy. My doctor wrote for me to be out for 10 weeks, not 6, but 10. The employer that I was with at that time, not only did the HR company department call me, and they literally asked me, why do you have 10 weeks instead of 6? Now, I'm an attorney. I was an attorney at the company. They called me. They asked me, why do you have 10 weeks instead of 6? Now, my doctor's already written the note. It's none of your business why I had 10 weeks instead of 6.
Violating all kinds
But they do it all the time. And they not only asked me that, then the woman had the nerve to ask me, did you have a vaginal birth or did you have a C-section?
Not the HR woman.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened with me and my vaginal going-ons with you. I'm not going to do that. That's what she's not going to do. That's what she's not going to do.
Yeah,
She's never going to have that conversation with you.
But she tried it.
But she tried it, and she asked me, and I had to literally stand my ground and tell her, I'm not going to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
You don't need this information. My doctor has already written the note. But they acted as though I had committed this huge sin for taking 10 weeks that my doctor said I needed to heal. And then when my department, a year later, when my department was downsized and we did it in 2 waves, the boss that I worked for at the time literally came to me and said, I'm putting you in the first wave. Now, mind you, all the attorneys were done. It was 2008. It was an economic crisis. The entire department, he was let go too, later on, because God don't like ugly. But at that time, he told me, I'm putting you in this first wave because of the ramp-up time that you had coming back from delivering.
Wait.
You were supposed to be my prodigy.
So pause. He did
Yes.
what?
He said, I am putting you in this first wave because of the ramp-up time that you had coming back from maternity leave. And I had 10 weeks. It wasn't like I took a year like they give in the UK. But 10 weeks, and that's what he said. And so, it was like the ramp-up time that you took.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate the fact that you had a child and that you were supposed to be my prodigy. So it's okay for us to be professionals. Wow. It's okay for us to be lawyers. It's okay for us to be powerful. But as soon as our womanhood is inserted, I think society doesn't give us the permission to be mothers. So I applaud Cardi B for what she did. I think it's fantastic. And I think other mothers and other women should take a note. And if you don't feel comfortable going back after 6 weeks, if you have the liberty and the opportunity to, do what you need to do for you.
And pay cash for your Lamborghini, because that's what Cardi B did.
She did. And I like that. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Well, we're going to come back with more legal notions. Thank you for this Hot Dockets, hanging with us with Hot Dockets. We're going to come back with more legal notions and a wonderful interview coming up next. Welcome to Legal Notion. I am so excited today to bring to you our hashtag Faith Fridays episode. We are really blessed to have with us Dr. Tuesday Tate. I have waited for this moment.
I'm honored.
I really am thrilled to have her here. She is a minister. She is also a business consultant. I could go down the list. Her resume speaks for itself. She is a published author. She's a business owner. She's everything that you need in your life. She is a consultant, a life coach. We are just really excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Welcome. Yes, well, we're going to jump right into it. We have some great things to talk about with you. I want to talk about your books, talk about everything you're doing. But first of all, you have a lot of businesses that you own, publishing companies. Advice that you can give to other entrepreneurs and other women who are seeking to be business owners, some of the things that you've gone through.
Oh, my.
I know. That's a loaded question, isn't it? I know.
We're writing a book about it.
Right, exactly. But give us some experiences, some advice that you can share with other women who aspire to also have their own businesses.
Excellent. One of the things I would absolutely encourage people is I have a slogan. I came into it probably as I was coming into year 50 of my life, was live out your hyphen. And so live out your hyphen. Do the things that God has put you in the earth to do. And if you don't know what they are, ask Him. And so a lot of times people say you're led by your passion, but the truth is passion does not keep you. Purpose keeps you.
Okay.
So let your passion lead you into purpose. So that thing you just can't seem to shake. Oh, every time I think about it, it makes me excited. So I'm going to to do that. And so just start being led by passion and you'll find yourself moving into purpose.
That's fantastic.
That
Now, I
is.
know you've written a book about waiting,
Yes.
and we could talk an hour.
At least.
At least.
Because that book is about 300 pages.
Yes. And I'm going to enjoy
A lot
every
to go.
single page.
Yes.
Because when we talk about passion and we talk about purpose, sometimes, and I'm a big person on seasons.
Absolutely.
So people ask me all the time, like, how do you do this and how do you do so much? I do it in the appropriate season. And sometimes it's a season of wait.
Yes.
Talk to us about your book, about how we get through that season of wait when we found our purpose, we've launched and embraced our passion, but it's not the right season yet,
It's
and
not
we're
the right
waiting.
season. And for us to even understand, there's a difference between time and season. And
Yes.
biblically, there's something called logos time and rhema time. And so we have to understand there's a chronological way to do things. It's just chronologically, chronos versus logos time. And so there's a way to do things. And a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves. God says he hates quick feet because they run into trouble. And so when we are quick to do things instead of waiting on God. And so a part of that waiting process, I absolutely believe as a Christian, as a believer in Christ, you have to pray.
Absolutely.
Whatever your faith foundation is, pray.
Yes.
And look for the signs of go. You know. I tell a story in my book on waiting about being at a stoplight, and I saw the light changing. I saw it changing, and two things made me not speed through the light. One, I had my German Shepherd in the back, and if I got in an accident, he was going to bite everybody out there.
Right.
They was
There's
not
that.
let anybody
Not gonna chance
get
that.
to him.
Who let the dogs out?
Right. And so he was
Right.
no, don't touch her.
Right.
So even though I would have needed help. And so that was number one. And number two, I thought to myself, I'm not in that big of a hurry. But as I slowed down to wait, another car barreled through right on the left side of me, hit a car, and there were 3 teens in that car. All of them were siblings. They were turning, making a left, and he headed straight. And he barreled into that car with his truck, and he killed the brother in the back seat. They were all headed to Pike High School. And I learned a lesson that day, and I talk about it in the book. When you don't wait, something will die.
Oh,
Wow.
that's profound.
Yeah.
When we get in a hurry, we have the potential of killing something. And so people could say, well, if I wait, then something will die in me. Well, not necessarily, because
Right.
if it's for you,
It will
Then
be
it
for
will-
you.
it will be for
It will
you.
be for
Yes.
And God just
For sure.
needs the timing. He just needs, sometimes it's what he wants to work either in us or out of us
There you go.
before
Yes.
we move to the next level. So waiting is good. I sang a song, I don't mind waiting.
Yes.
I really don't.
Yes.
I one time I was in the store and the line was long and I kept looking at my watch. I'm like, oh my God, I got somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody, like 3 people behind me was like, Minister Tate, you impatient? I'm like, did she just call me out?
She totally did.
She called me out.
Totally.
But she had my book. So God was like, okay, practice what you preach. So I'm okay with waiting. We will get in a hurry. God is not tripping on that. He just simply says, be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, make your requests made known.
Yes.
And so he doesn't mind us waiting. He doesn't mind us getting frustrated in waiting.
Yeah.
He expects it. But know that there is a reward if you wait and learn to wait right.
That's a profound word. I have
Yeah.
a question
Yes.
of kind of related to that. So, in moving through your journey, you've accomplished a lot. Has it always been smooth sailing? I would say no.
No.
I'm making an
No,
assumption.
no.
Can you talk to us about moving past those tough periods and
yeah.
how do you push through? Because a lot of times we get stuck and we feel like it's either not moving fast enough or I just can't do it. So, can you talk to us about pushing through?
Absolutely. I call it the hallways of life. If you've been to 5-star hotels, and then there are hotels that aren't even starred because they're just above the 5, beautiful lobbies. The hallways are beautiful. As you're walking from your door from the elevator to get to the next door, you just could camp out in the hallway,
Yeah,
right? You're like,
right.
this is nice.
Yeah,
Look at
let's
this
get better
table,
than
this
this,
chairs.
right?
Yeah.
Nice
Floor
up here.
around.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely beautiful. The mirrors. And so it's the hallways of life we can get stuck in. God did not want them to get stuck in the desert. He wanted the children of Israel. What should have only taken them 11 days took them 40 years. And so God does not want us to get stuck. When we're not seeing us move into the next door, we've tried this handle, it's closed, we've tried that, we've tried this. I encourage you, try it all. I mean, I've sold travel. I was a Mary Kay consultant and director, became a director in 5 months, earned my car in 5 months, so I've done a lot of things until one day I sat down and said, okay, enough. What is it that you are really, besides ministry, that I knew. Yeah. I knew ministry, I knew that. But my running joke is that sometimes you get a check, and sometimes you get a chicken dinner. So you don't always get paid for preaching the gospel, right? All of us have not arrived to Joyce Myers or T.D. Jakes.
And that goes for public speaking, motivational speakers.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're in a season of sowing and you do things for
free. I tell my speakers that, ATK Speakers and Publishing Firm, as I'm training speakers, I tell them there's some things you may have to do speaking engagements for free and get in there so you make the connections with other people in the room. Platform, and then they may be the ones who bring you in for the $500. You may have to start out at $100,
and do not
$500,
small beginnings.
So getting stuck is just, honestly, for me, I had to continue to pray. I still pray.
Do you?
I still have to pray to not get stuck at whatever level of success I think I'm at, right? So it's like adding to that, some of the best, I love spaghetti the next day. I love chili the next day because it's sat and then it's all the seasons and kind of came together. It's all marinated. So it's even just in that waiting place, letting things marinate, sitting in it. But when it's time to take it to the next level, so the next day I may add cheese to it.
A little bit more.
I may put some extra on it.
Well, we're going to put some extra on this conversation when we come back from the break, and we're going to let it marinate and come back and talk about multiple streams of income and Proverbs 31 woman and women, and what does that mean? What does she really look like? Right when we're back from commercial break. This is Legal Notion. Welcome back from the break. We are here with Dr. Tuesday Tate, giving us so much wisdom on this hashtag Faith Friday. We are so excited to have you back. We're going to dive right in. If you missed the first part, you missed it. Rewind, watch it again. Yeah. And we're going to dive right in. We're talking about multiple streams of income, women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Giving us the freedom, the permission to be all that we are called to be. Speak to that, especially in light of Proverbs 31, because you and I talked about this briefly, how sometimes we read that and there's a misnomer about who she was, who she is, what that means.
Today we would absolutely call her a mogul, right? She was a beast.
Yes, she was.
And, when God established Adam and Eve in the garden, there were 4 streams. There were 4 rivers coming out of there. And so it is my belief that at a minimum, we should have 4.
Okay.
We should have 4. Because from the foundation, there were 4 streams in our garden that they were given the responsibility to attend to and to develop and to grow and to be productive and fruitful and multiply. And so a lot of times, I don't know if it's cultural as far as African Americans go, but there's almost a stigma if you are pursuing multiple things. You're doing too much. Stay in your lane. It don't take all that.
Hashtag extra.
Or
doing the most.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
I'm here for extra credit all day long.
All day.
But they talk about me.
Were you one of those? I love extra credit.
I love extra credit. I will turn it in all the time.
Me too.
Absolutely.
All the points.
All the points. I want all my points. Just in case I have a moment that I slack. So I can make up the difference. Yes. We're all D-type personalities because I teach personality traits.
Oh, okay.
So we're all Ds, but it's good. It's good. Yeah. So and that's okay. So the other thing is, God showed me one time I was coming from Chicago and I was on 80 and I was the only car on 80. And I had been seeing all of these posts about stay in your lane and so I'm on this highway and there are 4 lanes, and the Lord just started showing me places I've gone in my life. In California, you could be on a highway with 8 lanes, and or it could be 10 at one point, and those 2 merge off that way, and you get up there. And I was like, and he just started showing me that in Atlanta there are multiple lanes on these highways, and God said, your lane is a highway.
Wow.
Don't be limited to one, right?
Don't be limited to one. And the truth is, because there were no other cars on there, I could bounce over here, go over there. I could do it all. There were no other cars for that stretch. And so we know there are bypasses, there are expressways, there are different types of highways. If your life is, we're here in Indianapolis, if your life is 38th Street, do 38th Street. Handle it. You know, roll out on those 2 lanes and be done. If your highway, if your lane is a rural area and it's one going this way and one going that way, do what you do. But do not stop the person that God has gifted to do more than one thing. I always say to people, who tells T.D. Jakes, you're doing too much? Somebody probably did.
At
or
some
has.
point in time, I'm sure.
They probably did. But did it stop him?
Not at all.
Who remembers when T.D. Jakes was doing gift cards? Greeting cards.
Way back.
When he
Way
first
back,
started,
way
he was
back.
doing greeting cards.
Way back.
Then he started Woman Thou Art Loose. Who tells a man, what are you doing a women's conference?
I'm sure.
Starting a
plenty
women's
years.
movement.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
So all of these things, but look where he's at. He didn't allow the naysayers, the people who want to say this and want to say that,
That's
to
so
stop
big.
him.
That's so big.
And so you have to
get it
keep.
from all.
You get it from family,
angles.
from friends, from church folk. You get it from
Most
so
of the
many
time for
different
those
areas.
who are closest to you, because they've only
Absolutely.
seen you in one light.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people have a tendency of seeing you in a particular box and wanting you to stay
Stay
in that
there.
box.
Yeah.
And
For
not
one
giving
reason
you
or
the,
another.
But and we recognize that everything isn't for now, right? We know
Right.
that. But what is for now, you need to do it. Pursue it, even if you started here while this thing is growing, but you're starting to do that. And one thing, because I'm natural, people used to ask me, way back, if I would do their hair shows. This was, I've been natural for 20-something years. And I remember saying, now what does doing a hair show have to do with my purpose? So what, right? So whatever I do,
with that, yeah.
Whatever I do, I want it to be aligned with my purpose. So it may not look like that to someone else, but my brand site, drtuesday.net, when you come into it, it says, this is who I am. I am all of this. God has called me to entrepreneurship. He's called me to be a minister. I'm a daughter. I'm all of that.
All of them.
And so living out my hyphen and your hyphen requires that you live out and do what God says for you to do. It's going to be some seasons you put this down and you pick this up.
Yes.
And all of that, and some things you'll never go back to.
That's
And
so
that's okay.
profound. That's so profound, because I think a lot of times we limit ourselves.
Yes.
We have so much self-doubt. We question ourselves. But just pushing through is so important for us as women, that you don't have to stay
Mentors.
in
You need
I
mentors.
was going to ask you about that.
You need
Yeah.
mentors.
Yeah.
And you need
the Titus 2
Yeah,
figure
absolutely.
in your life.
I have spiritual mothers. I have a spiritual mother. Her name is Shirley Alexander. And she
Hey,
told me,
Shirley. Tell us about Shirley
and she
now.
told me years ago, I love her to life. She said, we were talking about something, I was probably complaining. And she said, people think they know so much. We were talking about me, but she threw this in there. She said, people think they know so much, but they really don't know anything. And what you know could fit in a thimble and there would still be room at the top. I said, now today we would say shade, right?
Yeah,
I
shade.
said, did she
Sure
just
would.
throw shade? Because we were talking about me, then people, and now you just said me.
Right.
And there's room at the top. Think about it, a thimble. And so because we don't know, sis, we must seek God. God, what is it that you have for me to do for this season of my life? What is it that you want me to do? And how do I do it to glorify you? First of all, I think it's important that we recognize greatness is in every last one of us.
Everybody.
Yes.
You know why? If you're even if you're not a believer, God created you and he's great.
Absolutely.
Marvelous are his works, it says.
He said
And
it.
you are his works.
And he said, and we know it right well.
Yes.
You must know that you are marvelous in his eyes and there is greatness in you. And because we're believers, even more so. And so to dumb down who we are because of what other people are saying, you've got to get in the face of God and say, what is it that you have for me to do?
That is so true.
Wow.
That is so true.
Well, I could have you here and talk for another hour. DrTuesday.net.
Yes.
Is that how people can get in contact with you?
Absolutely. DrTuesday.net. I'm on Facebook, Dr. Tuesday, Tuesday Tate. I'm kind of all over social media, Instagram, Twitter. And so find me there. Do I have a quick second to talk about our next book launch?
Yes.
So our next book launch we have is The Mornings After, From Grief to Glory. So it's a story about people who have lost love, not just loved ones, but we have someone telling their story about losing their marriage and how they grieve that. I tell the story about coming into being snatched from sleep with hot flashes, amen, and because now my body has told me you are not going to have children. I had to grieve that. I had to grieve that, and then to study, how many women, either by choice or whatever the issue is, that they cannot have children, not because they've chosen not to, but they can't. And so it's major what we face in grief. So I talk about that. Certainly people losing fathers and mothers and children from murder or just sickness. So that's a beautiful book. Dr. Marvin Sapp is doing the foreword in that book.
Wonderful.
And then our fall book is from intentional increase, maximizing your talent. So if there's anyone who has a talent, a gift that you've used to be successful in your life, you're on your way or you've achieved it, we want you to be a part of that book. So reach out to me.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
DrTuesday.net.
Dr. Tuesday.
That's how you can get in contact with her. We thank you so much.
Thank you.
The
This is
nuggets
an
of
honor.
wisdom. I hope everybody replays this 15 times
You
and
need
takes
to
it
hear
all
it.
in. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining
you.
us. We are so excited to have you. Thank you. Thank you for joining with us. Until next time, join us again for Legal Notion. Welcome back, and it is time for Wind Down with Juanita. We have our jury here, and they are going to deliberate and ask a question. So, juror number one, what is your question?
My question is, how do you feel about women who miscarry?
You know, we talked about maternity leave today for women who deliver healthy babies. But I think it is important to talk about the fact that women who miscarry have suffered a great loss. Unfortunately, outside of short-term disability, there really isn't a lot that they can do. And I think it's unfortunate. I think that we don't recognize the grief and the loss. I've had friends that have miscarried. It is huge. I've had friends that have actually delivered and their child has died in NICU. And it's a huge area of loss. I wish we did more. I wish we gave more time. The same as we do for a woman who has a healthy child, a woman who loses a child. Also, I think deserves the same type of protection. But outside of short-term disability, we really don't do much. And I think it's a shame. I really do. But thank you so much for your question.
No problem.
Thank you. We have another question from our juror. Juror number 4, what is your question?
Yes, so I couldn't help but to admire your fashion. So my question is more of a fashion question. So as a aspiring creator, how can one protect their ideas in creative work in such a big space?
And you're talking about, and let me clarify, you're talking about creative in terms of fashion and design.
Yeah, can we redo it?
No worries. No, you don't have to redo it. So you're talking about in terms of fashion and design.
Yes.
It's interesting because I've had a client who is a fashion designer.
Okay.
And protecting your designs, you know, there is such a thing as intellectual property. So your design is immediately protected the moment that you create it. But in the world that we live in today, where you have, you know, no shade to them, but the Fashion Novas and the different companies coming out of Asia that pretty much will lift a design and replicate it. Maybe it's not to the same quality, maybe it is. But I think the best thing that you can do is protecting your brand and being unique. Unfortunately, it will cost a lot in order for you to sue someone for the infringement on your design. But it is protected because that is your intellectual property. The design does belong to you. But it will take a lot for you to protect it. I think the best thing that you can do, and what I prescribe to him, customer, this goes beyond the law, right? So this is experience. Customer service and uniqueness of design is something that can't be superseded. You can replicate it, but you can never duplicate it. Right. And so sometimes when you have these cheaper knockoffs, and we have seen in the fashion and law area that there have been a lot of movement. There's been a lot of movement in that area to protect designers and their rights and their intellectual property rights. We haven't gone as far as we would like to see. But you do have a lot of fashion houses, and I know this because I started Dress for Success in London. So we use clothing to help empower women. And because of that, I've run into a lot of different fashion houses globally. So the movement in fashion law and protecting those rights that you have, there's been a lot of movement towards prosecution of counterfeit. And you think it's small, so you buy a fake purse and you think it's no big deal. But what you're doing is helping to support those people who knock off designers. And all you have is your design. Okay, that's all you have. And so we've seen a lot of movement in the prosecution of those IP right infringements, not to the point where I think it's profitable for small fashion houses to take on the counterfeit houses, the people who, the no shade, but some of the vendors on AliExpress who will knock off a design. I have a friend and a client who is a designer. And I mean, if someone on AliExpress knocks off his design one more time, but the reality is that what you get from those vendors is not the same as what you get from the actual designer. So stay true to your art, stay true to what it is that you do. Don't be discouraged. The fashion and law area is a growing area. I'm actually doing a fashion and law symposium over in London in September to talk about this, sustainability, copyright, design, right, and all of those areas that are growing. So we do see a lot of movement. I would say stay true to your design. If you feel that it is worth it, you can hire an attorney to protect your rights because they do belong to you. So it's worth it sometimes, sometimes not. But you can never steal creativity. You can try to replicate it, but you can never steal creativity. And someone cannot steal what is truly your gift. They can try to replicate it, but it will never be the same. So that's what I advise, because sometimes it's not financially advantageous for people to take on those sort of IP infringement lawsuits. But thank you so much for your question.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Join us again for Legal Notion. If you'd like to be a part of the jury, please visit us at LegalNotionTV.com. I'm Juanita Ingram, the host of Legal Notion Talk Show. Join us as we bring you pop culture and current events with a legal twist. Check us out every week on Facebook Watch, Mommy Talk Channel. Obviously done a great job at raising your sons. And in today's society, with everything that we're facing, especially for young black men, advice that you would give to other fathers about raising successful, alive black men in today's society?
Well, I'll tell you what, my youngest son is probably has the most wisdom of anyone in my family. He says, Dad, he says, you're the best dad in the world. He said, so many fathers get things twisted. They think if they give some money or if they buy a pair of shoes, he says, all I enjoy is your time. I've always told my boys, I want you to make sure you're a very good student and you got to work hard in that classroom, but then you better work hard on that basketball court. So my goal for all my three boys and all my students are, you got to,
They're learning more than just basketball. These are real life skill, character building experiences that they're having.
For sure, because I think maybe one in every 18,000 high school basketball player will make it to the NBA.
Say that number again.
Yes.
1 out of 18,000 high school basketball players will make it to the NBA. There's only 310 NBA roster spots in the NBA. So there's just, you gotta have to do more than it's more than just about basketball.
18, we are in the age of virtual dating,
Yes.
dating online.
I'm so glad I'm married. I just need to say that.
I'm
But
not.
for the people in the dating world, this has become really an avenue for people to meet up, people that you may never cross paths with. But you have to be careful. Seems like a really nice guy, and come to find out he's a serial killer.
He was cute.
Yeah, he's a very attractive guy.
Most serial killers are not attractive, so this dude was attractive.
He was attractive, and not only had he done it in this particular instance, he has a history. So they do believe that this is the 7th victim that he's had.
Black China.
Honey.
This is a serious topic. Tokyo Tony, who is Black China's mama, went on a rant about not being able to see her grandchildren. I'm sorry. If my mom said, you were a statutory rape.
Right, exactly.
I have a problem.
There's no empowerment in there. So I want you to teach what my grandchildren.
We're going to throw,
problem.
the whole grandmother away. Okay? She wants to see her grandchildren. This gets into a very repetitive topic that comes up often. Grandparent rights and your rights to visitation as a grandparent.